Okay, you good to go?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Open Up podcast and to episode 47 with Emily Strange. Buddy, thank you for doing this. Want to do this for you
No
for a long
worries.
time, actually, with you, hey?
Yeah, it's weird you messaged me. I was going to reach out and chat to you, but you came to me.
Well, we've got a little bit to talk about, but straight off the bat, can you describe yourself for us?
Oh, tough question. Especially because it's 6 a.m. But I'm a bit of a paradox, really. Like in saying that I love going out and socializing, but there is nothing better than coming home
Yep.
and waking up fresh. I love traveling and meeting new people, but then I would never turn down a weekend away camping and sitting by a campfire. Yeah, I guess I'm just like any other young person trying to figure out life.
Yep.
But if I have one purpose, it's to, I don't know, share my experiences. I've been through a lot at a young age, and I don't know, I have this calling to help others and shed the light on these things.
That's good. That's the best calling to have.
Yes, it's very inspiring.
Okay, let's dive straight into your childhood.
Yes.
How was that for you? Can you give us a summary or a breakdown and sort of what the family dynamic was like in terms of how you guys interacted and whether there was
Yeah.
love or not?
Yeah. My childhood was awesome. Mum and Dad brought us up really well. We were very outdoory kids. We grew up on a farm in Dongra most of our life. Very, very family orientated. We were like this tight family unit. Mum and Dad, yep, they were really happy. There was a few fights every now and then. But Dad would take us camping a lot. We'd do a lot of family holidays. Yeah, it was like I have no complaints about my childhood. It was awesome.
Cool. That's awesome. So I guess we'll fast forward to high school then, and then how do you go from this awesome childhood where you're loving being outdoors, loving life, to, I guess, what you're going to talk about next?
Yeah, going into high school, Mum always said that I was a late blossomer. I still am. So hitting year 10, when a lot of my group started wanting to drink and smoke and go out, I found that really hard because I was just still so young and naive. I wasn't ready to do any of that. Even my younger sister, her friends at 13 were starting to do it, and I was just so confused. I didn't understand why people wanted to turn to alcohol. So I was sort of like in two mindsets. Like I was wanting to fit in, but then I was wanting to just be this young 15-year-old. So I think that's sort of where I didn't feel like I fitted in anywhere. I was just, in a really confused place, and, hitting puberty, it's just all these emotions at once. And so I left school in year 10, changed schools. Yeah, it was a very confusing time.
Okay. So you just want to be this young 15-year-old, still naive, still innocent. You want to fit in. How do you go from that to anxiety, depression, and eating disorder?
Yeah, so end of year 10, I fell out with my best friends. I was on a holiday and I just found out that I was getting talked about, and I probably overreacted, and it probably was nowhere near as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
But my brain was like, no, these people hate you, you don't belong there. So I refused to go back to school, and Mum had to find me a new school. So I think year 11, that was really hard, starting at a new school where everyone's already friends. It's their last 2 years of school, and I'm just rocking out this fresh 15-year-old. So I think that's sort of where the anxiety started to play in. It wasn't until I was actually 18 where I had my first panic attack. With the eating disorder, I'm not actually 100% sure where it started. I remember being in Bali with my mum, and I threw up from being hungover, and I remember waking up feeling skinny. That's one vivid memory I have. But from there, I think it was more being in a toxic relationship for so long and starting to lose weight. It was just like this sort of control mechanism. Not wanting, I started losing weight and people started to like me. They started to notice how fit I was. And so I used to binge eat when I was stressed, but then I'd make myself throw up because I didn't want people to think I'm fat and I didn't want to not fit in anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's scary, man.
Yeah, just my mind was seriously in overdrive. It was just, I don't, yeah, too much thinking going on.
Okay, so looking back now, did you have to be this person that was fit that you thought people wanted you to be?
Oh, don't get me wrong, when I was in that loop where I was feeling really good, I lost about 12 kilos in year 12. So I was feeling really light and people started noticing more and it sounds stupid. I was seriously so sick and unhealthy, but getting that attention for that little bit, it just made me feel important.
Yeah, of course. If you're
Uh,
a kid who struggled fitting in, who didn't know your place, then of course it's going to
yeah,
feel good. It's going to be like a
but
drug.
then on the flip side of that, my mind is just thinking, you idiot, like you are so sick. Like, and I was like deep down hating myself. So on the surface, I looked great. People probably thought I felt great, but no, deep down, I was slowly deteriorating.
And that's the hardest thing to pull away from, is that self-hate.
Yeah, it's really hard to flip your mindset.
Yeah, especially when you're doing something that you know is wrong, but people accept you for it or accept you more for being like that, then you
Yeah,
feel like a fraud.
having an eating disorder is honestly like an addiction. And yeah, I had bulimia for 5 years, and it's just yeah, it takes over your life and your mindset. It's just yeah,
5 years
abusive.
is a long time.
Yeah, yeah. And I've read people who have lived with it for a lot longer, and I hope they're recovered now because yeah, it's not a nice place to be in.
Okay. I think I just want to ask you one question about like when you changed schools. You said I think you said you changed it about year 11. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
how how did that conversation go with your mum? You said you refused to go to school um, because a friend was talking about you behind your back. How did that conversation go with your mum, and did she just let you switch, or was that like a process?
My mum is always so supportive in anything like that. She will 100% support my decision. She did try to find out why, and it did make me feel a bit stupid just to try to explain I didn't really have a legitimate reason. I felt like everyone hated me. I was like I can't go back, and there was a lot of tears, a lot of anger. So she said, okay, well let's find a new school.
Okay, that's I can understand that because of the social pressure in high school. Obviously, wanting
Yeah.
to fit in. That's like pack mentality. That's something we've evolved with as humans. Um, Looking back now, do you have an understanding of why you felt like you weren't good enough, or why you felt like you couldn't fit in?
It's it's really hard. The school I was at, a private school, it was a very cliquey school where there was predominant like popular group. I had a nice group of friends, but I just there was just something about it. I just felt like I didn't want to be there. Just I wanted something smaller, more like genuine, close knit school where
Yeah.
everyone is sort of more friends. And yeah, moving schools was the best thing I did for myself.
Okay. So I think you said you wanted like more close knit friends. Do you think that's because you had a close knit family, and that's what you're comfortable with?
Yeah, people overcomplicate things, and it costs $0 to be a nice person, and but so many people struggle with that.
Yep.
Like so many people are so nasty to other people, especially online as well. I was getting a lot of online hate, um, and it just didn't understand it. It's not hard to be a nice person.
Um, so, for those that don't know, you had like a little bit of a Instagram following.
Yeah,
Did you have this while you were going through the eating disorder?
I did. Yeah. So it sort of all started in about year 12 when I lost those 12 kilos. I was running most days and the weight started dropping off. But then when I'd be out eating, I obviously didn't want to put this weight back on. And that's where it was that loop where eat, make myself throw up, run. It was just, yeah, not healthy. But people noticed my weight loss journey. And then when I started to open up more about my depression and anxiety and my eating disorder a couple of years later, people started to relate to that and follow me.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I had about 15,000 followers. Um, and it is tough because people expect you to like have your shit together sometimes, but that's why now I try sort of shed the light on both. Like some days I'm super happy, some days I'm like a mess on the floor.
Um, with that Instagram following, because obviously you deleted that account, which is a huge move for
Yeah,
someone so young.
yeah.
Do you feel like that Instagram following enabled you in a sense in terms of your eating disorder?
It did, yeah. And just having all those people following me, getting all those likes, I did get stuck in this little loop where I was like, people must really like me if I'm getting all these likes. And it's sort of like that little bit of attention and thinking, like people used to message me saying, oh, you're Emily, like I've seen your posts and stuff. And it sort of used to make me feel a bit empowered.
Yeah.
But then I I chose to delete it because I wasn't being 100% honest and 100% real, and I didn't want to give that message out to people.
Okay. I guess you're stuck in this loop where you've got a bit of a following, there's a bit of empowerment there. People are loving you for being this person who looks fit, who's always
Yeah.
running, but they don't know beneath the surface you're bulimic. You've got this eating disorder. Um, you spoke beforehand about having anxiety and depression. Did anxiety and depression both factor in because of this?
With in regards to the Instagram following.
No, the eating disorder.
Oh yeah, it's sort of a combination of the three because because I hated myself so much. That's where I would make myself throw up everything I eat. But then again, that would make me feel even worse. And it's just like this negative loop. When you're in that mindset, you feel like you can't get out. You feel stuck and you feel like you're in this big dark hole while everyone else is living their best life.
Yeah. So, for you, how did anxiety play out in terms of like when you'd have experienced
Um,
anxiety?
my first panic attack, I was dating my first love, I would call it.
Yeah.
Um, and it got to the point where we were quite toxic for each other. I wouldn't hear from him on a night out, and it just made me really question why we're together and why he wants to be with me. And I just remember I was babysitting and I was in a public area watching him do karate, this 8-year-old, and I started having my first panic attack. And I didn't know I've had anxiety, but I didn't know what this panic attack was. And I had to step outside because I honestly felt like I could not breathe. I thought like I was going to die.
Yeah.
And I rang my mum, like trying to gasp in air, trying to ask what was happening. And she told me to just like take some deep breaths. It sounds like you're having a panic attack. Sit down, have a drink of water. And sort of her voice like really calmed me down, taking some deep breaths. So that was my first experience of having a panic attack. And they started to become more frequent from there. But I started to learn more about them and ways to control them.
Yeah. So, with the panic attacks, did they always arise because of that relationship, or did they sort of come up here and there for different situations?
Oh, the more I learned about my panic attacks, it was sort of a number of things, and I get a lot of social anxiety even still to this day,
Okay,
and it's really frustrating because I am such a bubbly, outgoing person,
you are.
and I think, why am I so nervous to go talk to people I know? Like I know these people, and I still get really anxious to go out. Um, so it's sort of like, yeah, the Instagram following, when I upload a photo, I would get anxiety thinking, oh, are people going to like this? Like, what's going to happen? Um, sort of, most of it comes from the future, not knowing what I'm doing
Yeah.
and worrying about the future. It's when I'm being present and just enjoying each day, that's when it sort of disappears.
Okay. And so did getting rid of your or cutting yourself off from Instagram for that period of time, did that help the situation at all?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I had a big detox from social media. I think moving to Broome, that's when that was a huge decision, and that was my decision to go find a better life for myself. And I just felt like that Instagram, that was from my past. I had so many photos from so many years of my past, and I just felt like it's time to get rid of it. It's time to start fresh. It's time to be real, keep it simple.
Cool. So having like detoxed from it, cut yourself off from that feedback loop that told you that you needed to be this certain person to get likes, what did you learn about yourself?
I just learned that I don't have to post everything for everyone.
Yeah.
Having that break, it really allowed me to just focus on myself and figure out what I'm doing. Just, yeah, find that positivity again and be happy to be me and not post for everyone, like not choose those likes to,
So not sort of mold your posts or curate
yeah,
your posts to
for my
fit what people,
self-worth. Yeah,
what you know people
just,
wanted.
yeah.
That's cool. So how do you go from this person who like hates themselves, who's depressed, who's anxious, who needs that validation, to someone who now loves themselves enough to choose something, like choose a post that fits you and not the people that you
Yeah.
want to impress?
I wish I could say it's a one-step thing, but it's really not. It's taken me a couple of years to get to this place, about two, I would say.
I think
And
that's super important though, and that's what
yeah,
most people need to understand is that it's not a quick fix self love.
it's really not. Yeah, yeah, facing my emotions head on was honestly the hardest thing I've ever done. And learning to be alone, really alone. Um, yeah, it was the hardest thing, and learning to love yourself is the hardest thing, but it's 100% worth it.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not tomorrow I'm going to be happy and then that's done. It's like a lifelong process. You always learn, you always grow. So what helped me the most was learning about the law of attraction. My grandma showed me that when I was 19, the documentary The Secret on Netflix. It's awesome. And so from there, I made a vision board when I was 19 and started sticking up things I wanted in my life. I started realizing what's toxic and what needs to go in my life. I changed my whole friendship group and I felt pretty much alone for a long time. So my mum, my dad, and my sister were my best friends for a long time, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I started going to counselling again. It didn't work for me in year 12. It was just too much. I would just waste the whole session crying. Um, but now I can go and just talk about my feelings. So that really helped. I moved states once. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is it's a lifelong thing. It's you got to try and figure out what works for you.
Yeah. Okay.
And what worked for me was just keeping it simple. Stop overcomplicating things.
So for someone who's going through an eating disorder at the moment, or someone who may potentially go through one, based on your experience, what would you say like the first steps are for them to sort of remedy it or pull themselves out of it?
Yeah, the first step is honestly bringing in so much awareness. You can't blame others in this situation. It is so easy when you're in that dark place to blame others, but it's when you step outside of your head and start taking responsibility for your actions and your words, that's when change will happen. You need to be aware that it is a problem, admit it's a problem, and you need to go seek the help that you need. It's the only way you're going to get out of it. So,
That's cool.
yeah, I saw a specific eating disorder therapist, but even just, but the first person I told, she probably knew anyway. I was so oblivious to it. Yeah, I spoke to my mum about it, and together we decided we'll go get help. So, yeah, reaching out to a family or friend or professional help is definitely the first step.
And for that person that you reached out to first, was that the person you trusted most?
Yeah, definitely the person and someone who is non-judgmental.
That's super, super important. Because if
Yeah,
you reach
very.
out to anyone with any problem that you're ashamed of, and they
You don't
make you
want to go the
feel,
other way.
yeah, they make you feel like you should be ashamed, then you're never going to
Yeah.
speak about it again, and it's just going to remain in your life. So,
So yeah, choose someone carefully.
yeah. Okay, so in terms of the anxiety and depression, what have you used to help yourself deal with that or process that? You spoke about The Secret. Was there anything
Yeah,
else?
the depression and anxiety, it's a tricky one. Mine was sort of more based on, it is a lot of my negative self-talk, but it was also based on external factors, which is really hard because you can't, when you realize that you have a choice to be happy, and if you stop blaming it on the external factors and just decide, right, I'm in control, I can choose to be happy here. When I had that mindset and awareness, the depression lessened heaps. It was more like choosing positive actions, choosing to be around people that make me feel good, choosing to go for a run in the early mornings instead of going out drinking all night.
Yeah,
So it's sort of taking like inspired action to live the life that you want to live.
yeah, that's super powerful. And I think you said beforehand as well that you've tried meditation and it worked for a little bit, but it's not for you right now. You see
Yeah,
running as your meditation.
I love meditation. I went through a phase last year where I was meditating every morning, and you just feel so empowered and clear, and just like you can do this. But um, at the moment, I don't know, I have so much energy at the moment, so I just find sitting down and being really quiet for 15 minutes in the morning, it's not working for me. So I find going for a power walk on the beach or taking the dog to the beach or going for a run, that's sort of my form of meditation at the moment.
Yep.
Just where I don't take my phone, it's just me and the nature and just like connecting with myself and the nature. It's just, that's what makes me feel sort of chill and
That's cool.
good again.
And an important, I guess, important note for people who don't understand what meditation or what meditation through running is. It's literally just focusing on one thing. So anxiety is worrying about what's going to come in the future,
Yeah.
and then depression is pretty much regretting the past. So if you can pull yourself back to the present, then you're going to be able to pull yourself out of depression or anxiety.
Yeah, well, yeah, my tip, if yeah, with anxiety and depression, you should definitely tell whoever you're living with, make them aware of your situation. It's my boyfriend is awesome with that. He's very calming, and so is my mum. I'm lucky to live with them. So they both know if I'm having a panic attack or a bad day, they don't give me tough love. They don't make it worse for me. If I'm crying, James will literally just come and sit down with me and hug me until I stop crying. And that is the most therapeutic thing sometimes.
That's so cute.
I know it is very cute. He's the best. But then my mum, if I'm sort of midway through a panic attack where I think I'm going to die, mum will come in, sit next to me, and she tells me to blow up a red balloon. It doesn't have to be red, but having that moment where I'm like, okay, stop, focus, I'm blowing up a red balloon. It sort of like makes me take big, slow breaths. It makes me focus on that colour. So that's a really good tip to
Oh,
share
so you're
with.
literally blowing a balloon up.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm literally blowing up a red balloon, and
That's
it
the
just
coolest.
yeah, it's and it just takes away the attention from the thoughts, the racing thoughts, and the like fast breathing. And I'm just like, okay, slow down, blow up a red balloon, and yeah, it really helps him. Yeah, it
That's
really
so
helps.
cool, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to fast forward. I know we're going to be a little bit pushed for time, but
Oh, you're fine.
um, I want to talk about your surgery. So, can you walk us
Yes.
through that from the start? I guess when you got them and then
Yeah,
how this all
yeah,
came
that's a
about?
big one. Yeah. So I think I was 19. It was 2015. The guy I was with, and he's awesome. We're still friends now, but at the time, very bad for each other. He sort of put these words into my head, and this is where, at that age, I was blaming other people.
Yeah.
He said to me, "Those girls are so much prettier because they've got big boobs." And being so young and naive, I was like, okay, I got to get big boobs. Like, if this person hates me so much, it's because I don't have boobs. That's the mindset I was in. It was horrible.
So, first of all, for anyone listening, if you got someone in your life like that, cut them.
Get rid of them. Yeah, you don't need that. Um, so yeah, I was like, right, I'm going to start looking to get my boobs done. And in the background, mum is like, don't be stupid, you're beautiful. Like, what a waste of money. But when you're in that mindset that you're going to get them done, you're going to get them done. It doesn't matter what people say. I didn't want to listen to anyone else. I didn't do research. I just dove straight into it, and that is my biggest regret. But we learn from it. So yeah, a couple of months later, I was in Perth. I thank my mum so much for this. She made me stay in Perth to get it done. Um,
Well,
yeah, so that was awesome because it really helped with the after side of it. Got them done, and even when I got them done, I actually, if anything, I hated myself even more. I hated the look of big boobs. I always just felt so chunky and big. There was. It might have got the attention from guys every now and then, but yeah,
well, if to be honest, if you had an eating disorder that you were hiding from people that was
yeah.
getting you likes, you would have
Well,
already
yeah,
felt like a fraud because you were hiding something from everyone. You weren't
yeah.
showing your true
After
self,
surgery,
and
when I
then
got
you go
them,
and get these
yeah,
boobs, which makes you feel like more of a fraud because you know that's not you.
yeah. It was just horrible. I was just like, what have I done? But yeah, I was sort of still living in this like ignorant little bubble for a couple of years. And then that's when I decided to move up to Broome. I was bringing so much awareness in. I was really putting in work to like myself. I would listen to lots of positive affirmations, telling myself that I like myself even if I didn't. And I soon started to believe these thoughts that I was telling myself rather than the negative thoughts that I was used to tell myself. And then it was last year, it was on Sunday night actually, that this one a famous girl, she got her implants out. And I was like, wow, that is awesome. Like this famous person is getting her implants out. That's really cool. And then I started doing some more research and I found this group, Breast Implant Illness, and thousands of girls in Australia are coming out and openly admitting that they are really sick from these. And there is no evidence based research to back it up. So they go to the doctors and there's no evidence to say, yeah, your illness is related to your implants.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, that's super interesting. And I started reading more. There's heaps on YouTube about it, and it wasn't even that. It was more the fact I've always had anxiety and depression. I don't think they made me sick. It was more the fact that if these girls can get them out, I hate them. Why would I not want to get mine out? And yeah,
So you
so
still hate them at this point.
yeah, hated them. Honestly, finding clothes to wear, it was just horrendous. I thought it would be easier to find bikinis and stuff, but it was just so much harder.
Yeah.
I hated going out. I hated having to try fit into clothes. Um,
Wow, that's crazy. You hated going out. Like I thought, doing that would make you more confident.
Nah, I was just hating myself even more. Like my life was awesome. Last year I loved my life, but it was just felt like the one thing holding me back. I just decided it's time to be real and yeah, booked my surgery to get them out.
It's a major, major power move, man, to get them
Yeah,
taken out. Like, did
such
you,
a big decision.
because that is such a big decision, and because it would have been tied in with how people saw you, was there an identity crisis there for you?
Um, oh, it's hard, not really, because I'd reached that point where I made a new Instagram account. I'm not afraid to show who I am anymore. I'm not afraid to be like, I like myself. I don't care if you like me or not. Um, it was just, yeah, it was a hard decision because being 22, appearance is such a huge thing. Like, no one wants to have ugly, saggy boobs when they're 22. But yeah, it felt so right. I needed to get them out.
Okay, and so was it mostly based on the health?
No, it was more physical, but also, I guess, emotionally, I felt like they were holding me back. Like it was such a past decision, and I'm so confident in who I am now. It was just like I'm so real and open about these things, and I was like, this is the one thing holding me back. Like I just want to be me without
Yeah.
these fake boobs in me.
So that was the only thing really tying you to that former self who wasn't confident or
Yeah, and
didn't
so
show self love.
in saying that, I'm not putting down plastic surgery or saying don't get boobs. It's just I reached a point where I wanted to be myself again, and yeah, it was holding me back from doing that.
Yes, and I think that's important to mention as well is that you got them to please someone else. You did
Yeah,
them to please yourself.
no,
And they didn't make you feel any more confident. They didn't make you feel any more happy.
no,
So you did the
definitely
right
not.
decision and got them taken out.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said with mum, because they got them done in Perth, it was all covered by the surgeon as sort of surgery correction. So that was a huge relief because this was my first year paying rent. I don't have much money at the moment. So it was a huge relief not having to pay anything.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, waking up, I was like, this is the best thing ever. I've been feeling so good ever since.
that's awesome, buddy. I'm so happy for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay, so in terms of self love, how does someone go about that if they're in this position that you're in where they hate themselves so much?
Yeah. Um, you just have to start choosing to do things that make you feel good. You have to cut out the toxic people. You have to cut out the negative actions. You have to start really thinking about how you want to live your life, how you want to feel. That when I'm stuck in a negative headspace, I literally close my eyes and I picture how I want my future self is. And it's just me happy on the beach, long hair, no makeup. And it just makes me think, okay, so how do I get to that point? And I'll go for a run, or it's just like not choosing to stay in on a Friday night instead of going out. And I have a huge vision board with everything I want in my life. I have like so many positive quotes on my wall. It's just creating an environment that makes you feel good. And yeah, it's just about being really honest with yourself and not doing something because someone else does it. Do something that you know makes you feel good.
Okay,
Everyone is different. Yeah.
so what's one of these quotes that you have? Um, can you give me an example of one?
Um, I have a couple, but one that I love and it's on my wall is like everything you need to succeed in life, like your courage, your compassion, your strength, your love is already within you. You just need to realize it.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me to stop and go inside and realize I do have everything I need to live whatever life I want. It's not someone else isn't going to do it for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
And
awesome,
just
buddy.
realizing, yeah, everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Just because you're not good at something, just because you have panic attacks, it doesn't define you. You can sort of do whatever you want with your life. Like mental illness does not define you.
Super cute. I'm going to
Hmm,
ask you a few questions before we wrap up.
sure.
What would you say, knowing what you've been through, the eating disorder, anxiety, depression, and then going through the surgery, what would you say the quality of your life is like now?
Oh, awesome. I'm honestly so in love with life. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, so much better. I have days where I still overthink and have anxiety and overthink stupid things, but I now can pull myself out of that so much quicker rather than self-loathing for weeks or days.
Yeah. Um, okay. What have you added to your life or removed from it to improve the quality of it?
To add to my life, I completely changed environments. So I moved to Broome, Perth to Broome. I am now with a boy that I absolutely love. He is my best friend. So a really nurturing relationship. That was super important because I'd never had that before.
And it
But it
sounds like
was,
someone who loves you for you.
yeah, yeah. But that was the important thing. I had to learn to love myself before I could be
Yes.
with someone who loves me for me. Um, I started getting out of my comfort zone. Like I was living in this little shell where I thought I couldn't do anything. I was letting my ego and anxiety control me. And it's only when I started getting out of my comfort zone and speaking up about these things is when I started like attracting more good things into my life.
Yeah.
Um, so sometimes you do just have to do the scary stuff and step out and go chase your dreams. Like just go do it.
That's that
um,
anxiety holding you back.
yeah. And in regards to removing things, yeah, just changing friendship groups, changing jobs, studying something I want to study. So basically, getting rid of all the negative and bringing in the positive.
That's awesome, buddy. What are you most grateful for right now?
What am I most grateful for? There's so much to be grateful for. That's such a hard question. Um, I would say, yeah, my life in Broome, I love it so much. There's just so much good here, so many good people. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful to be able to speak up about this. This is the first time I've spoken up
Yes.
about my struggles face to face.
It's not going to be the last.
No, so thank you. But yeah, I have so much to be grateful for. I don't really have anything to fault at the moment.
That's awesome, buddy. Do you know what your purpose is in life?
I do, but it's putting it into words is the hard
That's
part.
all right. Give it a go.
I guess going through all these struggles, I have this calling to share my experiences with other people to make it easier for them. Like we're made to feel that life is such a competition, whereas it shouldn't be. The only competition we have is the person we were yesterday. We should help build each other up. We should help each other get through our struggles, help each other achieve our dreams. Like we're all human. We all just want to be happy and successful. Let's
That's
just be
awesome.
nice and keep it simple.
I'm taking that soundbite and I'm putting that at the start of the episode. All
Cool.
right. Last question for you. If you had the chance to put a message on a billboard, we know thousands of people would see it every day. What would that message be?
When I think about everything I've learnt, it all comes back to stop overcomplicating things. Like, so I would probably say my message on the board would be keep it simple, keep it honest, and keep it real.
That was quick.
Hmm.
Awesome, buddy. Well, to wrap up, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to do this at like
Yeah, thank
quarter
you
to
so
6 in the
much.
morning.
I know, off to babysit all day now.
Oh, okay. But thank you not only for that, but for coming out and speaking about this publicly for the first time. I
Yeah,
appreciate.
so it is a bit and but thank you.
That's all right. I appreciate you
It's a
doing it.
starting point.
It takes a lot of courage. But all power to you. You know, you got a lot ahead of you. You've got a powerful, powerful message, especially with the surgery. So I hope you keep plugging along and posting about this,
Yeah,
remaining
cool.
confident and keeping that self love, buddy. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks so much. See you, Lockie.
Take care, buddy. See ya.
Bye.